This is Matrix Lord 212, and this is going to be a big video thanks to S4mmc, Sammy, which basically asked me if it's possible that River Song creates new timelines. And basically the answer to that is yes, she absolutely does. Excuse me one second. An example of this is basically in Series 5, okay, because she is responsible for creating a new timeline with the Pandorica, because what happened was she put the TARDIS, being a child of the TARDIS, she put the TARDIS in a time loop. And when the Doctor realized that it wasn't the sun that was burning, it was the TARDIS, he was able to save the TARDIS and her. Well, he was able to save her from the TARDIS, so he got her out of there. But basically, she had given the journal in the Big Bang to Amy, which thereby makes her remember the Doctor. She's basically responsible constantly for the timeline changing because she's the one that changed the timeline and wedding of River Song, because she didn't kill the Doctor at Lake Silencio, which created a whole new timeline. So basically, she is constantly changing the timeline. She has a journal that she tries to keep up with the Doctor, but in a way, as we see in the trailer, I guess he's reading her journal or his journal, and he said, "You just changed the future." So, yes, she is changing the timeline. Now, what this exactly means, I'm not sure, because it turns out that the timeline before has changed. The future had changed, but if it was in a state of flux, it could become anything. So there used to be the Fifth Galactic Empire, or the Great Empire of Earth, that never came to be because the Daleks took over. And this was in the first series with the Ninth Doctor, Christopher Eccleston. So if you remember that future never came to be. He never had, well, he had those adventures, but I guess the timeline was changed. So, just the Daleks were the rulers of Earth in the far future. So basically, time can be rewritten. The future can be changed. Now, what does this mean for the Angels Take Manhattan? Well, I think this is going to have a big clue that Amy and Rory are either going to be saved or something's going to be happening. Another thing is that we see in the trailer that Amelia is running back outside, I guess, with her briefcase, just like in 11th Hour. Like I said, a big key, and they even said a big key, is the 11th hour, because something happens in the 11th hour that will be directly connected to the Angels Take Manhattan. And that being that, if you remember the end of the 11th hour, Amelia had slept outside waiting for the Doctor to pick her up, young Amelia, and she heard the TARDIS sounds in the morning. Okay, pay attention because a lot of people forget this. Now, at the end of Series 5, okay, we see in the Big Bang that the Doctor picks her up and brings her in the house. So she doesn't sleep outside, okay? She sleeps in her bed. So this creates a whole new timeline because he goes into the crack and he seals the crack, and guess what? The mother and father are back, and it's a whole new timeline of her growing up with her mother and father, which actually was probably the original timeline. So here's where it kind of gets a little wibbly wobbly, tiny wimey. A new timeline is there where she's with her mother and father. She marries Rory, and basically River Song hands her the journal, which is blank, but River Song still retains the memories of the Doctor, and Amy remembers the Doctor. So now, here's the thing that really doesn't make any sense. The whole thing with the cracks is very, very confusing. Originally, 11th hour, he opened the cracks to see the prison. Now, wherever that prison was, in an alternate reality or another galaxy, whatever. And then the cracks became something else, cracks in time, and then, the Doctor supposedly went in there, but then it was okay. That Rory went in there. He wasn't erased from existence because he became I don't know how on earth he became living plastic. Like, it doesn't make sense, and they need to clear that up. How Rory would survive, but nobody else. It's like Rory and the Doctor survived, but no one else did. And the thing that's not even clear is if the universe was rebooted, then wouldn't everything else be restored? Wouldn't the whole adventures with the Cyber King and the Daleks and Stone Earth and all that stuff, wouldn't all that be remembered? It's unconfirmed. But River Song, like I said, she stopped the Doctor from dying. Now, this is where it gets confusing, because did River Song pop into her body and of her younger self and then basically change everything? Because she had no control over that astronaut uniform, that suit. So how was she all of a sudden able to have total control? Unless, of course, a future version of herself went inside her past self. I don't know, but there's so much speculation about what's going on. I think River Song is going to somehow, she's the Queen of Mischief in episode 5. She's going to change the timeline. I'm really thinking that's what's going to happen, and we're going to see that somehow Amy and Rory are okay. I just watched Time of Angels and Flesh and Stone, and I noticed something that I never noticed before. And that being, if you guys have the episode Flesh and Stone, go to the end where Amy shows the Doctor that she's getting married. Okay? Now, this could be absolutely nothing, but the very last scene where you see the clock and the date, there's a picture in the background of Amy Pond and some other girl. Okay, she's taking pictures with. All right? And on pictures on the wall, I think there's 2 different girls. And I just found this peculiar. Now, would one of the girls be Mel's? And if it isn't Mel's, then who is this other girl? And then I started thinking, I'm like, you know what? We know that the house was big. And it was a big house, and it was too big for a little girl. And even with a mom and a dad, it was still too big. What if Amelia Pond had a sister? A twin sister, possibly. Amelia, Amy. Just speculation. Don't go nuts. What if what if Amelia had a sister? That's what I'm just saying. I don't know, or whatever. I could be purely speculation, but even in 11th hour, I remember seeing a weeping angel from the window. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that could happen. I don't know. The silence being the TARDIS. Did the TARDIS, by traveling all around the universe, did it spread the cracks around? I think the cracks really need to be explained in Series 7. What caused it? Is it possible that... another thing, too, with Time of Angels, I remember the Doctor told her not to open up her eyes. If she opened up her eyes for 1 second, she would become an angel. And you know what? She looked into the cracks and opened her eyes anyway. And you know what? She didn't become an angel, or did she? See, now this is very confusing, because he says the angels went inside the cracks, and because they were never meant to be, there is no angel that existed inside her. But then again, once the universe was rebooted, wasn't everything put back the way it was? So, is Amy a weeping angel? Or is that her fate, that she's a weeping angel, and that once she looks into the eyes of an angel, she's an angel? It's a big, of course, a big tie would be the weeping angels for her end, and, the big apple too, that's another thing too. She never liked apples. Her mother used to draw faces on the apples. She never liked apples. And of course, we would have River Song in the last episode of the Ponds with the angels. I'm still trying to figure out River Song's timeline and the different adventures that they went on. One of the adventures they said was the Bone Meadows. I'm trying to find what that is. In Silent in the Library, River Song said, did we do the fall of the Byzantium, which is basically Time of Angels. Picnic at Asgard is, I believe, the Impossible Astronaut, when the Doctor dies. But, another thing, too, I don't understand, Jimmy the Fish. Now, some people are saying it was cleared up in a mini-episode. I got to really look at that again. Building dam, he said. I don't know what that meant. That if that's another adventure, but then she should have had that adventure with him already. So, what else could I say about River Song? River Song is a complicated space-time event. It could be possible that she created herself, or maybe not, because somebody supplied the Time Lord things from the Time Vortex to the baby, to the infant, to make her Time Lord. I don't know. But she's definitely, it's very odd too, because in Time of Angels, it started off in a museum, and he said that, I wrote it down too, he said they were at the Delirium Archive, which is the final resting place of the Headless Monks. So basically, at this time, the Headless Monks are done. The church is in another direction. Okay, they're not dead set on destroying the Doctor anymore. So they found their new calling, new ways, whatever. And basically, another thing I wrote down was, I wrote down the speech that River gave the Doctor from that book. There was a book that was written by a madman, which could be Rory. Who knows? I don't know. But basically says, what if we had ideas that could think for themselves? What if one day our dreams no longer needed us? When these things occur and are held to be true, the time will be upon us, the time of angels. And it's very funny how every time we have River Song, there's always talk of dreams, fairy tales. Even her final appearance in Forest of the Dead, she says, sweet dreams, everyone. Time of Angels, Flesh and Stone. What else? Those other times that she said dreams too. So this is getting like crazy. Series 1, we had the fish references everywhere. Fish fingers and custard. The beast below was a star whale. Every episode had a mention of fish or some type of fish or something. It was fish, there was balloons, like red balloons, bird tweets. Those are the 3 things. It's just so many clues, but I just can't figure it out. Like Stephen Moffat's a genius, so I don't know what direction she's going in, but I do believe that it could be possible that Amy's a weeping angel. It could be possible that maybe Amy had a sister. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to figure it out too. I mean, why would she pray to Santa, not God? That's another thing. And she thanked Santa for the fish, the pencils, and the dolls. So I don't know, but yeah, River Song, basically is constantly changing the timeline. They're meeting out of order, and she's giving the Doctor little clues here and there, what to expect, and maybe those clues are enough to change the timeline, really. If you think about it, probably the original timeline is that he did die at Lake Silencio, okay? And this probably happened so many different times. He probably died, River Song found out about it, okay? And then, it just, the timeline, in other words, it kept reoccurring with little diversions each time, okay? And then the second divergence would be, okay, him giving notes to his past self. And then the next divergence would be, on the other end, where he knows he's got to give the notes out, but he uses the test selectors to save himself. So this, plus another divergence is the fact that River Song knew this was going to happen and basically prevented it and created a whole new timeline. So basically, it could be time being rewritten like a record. It goes around, and then the next time takes a little divergence, and goes around a different way, and then another way, and then another way, until you get a different timeline, which, you know, it's not like I mean, it's not like well, it would be a paradox, or it would just be a new timeline. So, and another thing too with the fixed points in space and time, uh, that's another thing that's very confusing too, the fixed point. So, I just, you know what, River Song is a complicated space-time event, and you know what, I do believe too that she does change the timelines constantly. And I think that what we're going to find out is that I had a theory too that basically if the Doctor is so huge in the whole universe and you're a villain like the Daleks and Cybermen or whatever, what do you do? You know, he's everywhere, this guy. What do you do? What do you do? Well, basically, you find a way to leave the universe, and if that's not enough, you find a way to go to a brand new timeline, one where the Doctor has never been. He has never even been around. And basically, this could be the thing for the 50th anniversary, that we find out where the Time Lords are, where the Daleks are. I mean, the Daleks and the Time Lords have basically journeyed beyond the universe. It was stated this in basically the Doctor's wife, that Time Lords have journeyed beyond the universe. It's possible they went to alternate universe, and the Daleks are even, they went to the void. They were travelers, they were explorers, versions of the Daleks, to try to continue their existence, okay? So basically, there were Daleks that were in the void, trying to reach a new universe. Maybe there's like the universe, the void, and then another universe. So they were trying to reach a parallel universe. And I think this is exactly what happened with the Cybermen, because that guy Lumic didn't create the Cybermen. Somebody put the plans there for him to find, and he created them, okay? Just like the same exact episode's familiar, Victory of the Daleks, that the Daleks made this guy think he created the Daleks, and then he's building all these other Daleks. So, I'm thinking that there's going to be a thing at the 50th anniversary where, or Series 7, where the Doctor's going to realize, hey, you know what? All my foes, they're taking over universes, and I need to go follow them. And that's what I think is going to happen. I think that the Doctor's going to be traveling between only two different universes. The one that he's at now and another one. And I think that that's what's happening. I think that he's going to be traveling with the TARDIS in two separate universes. And the universe that he travels to, where the Daleks rule and the Cybermen rule, he's going to have a problem, because nobody's going to know that the Doctor exists there. And plus, two would be good for him too, because nobody knows who he is. So guess what? It would be easier, because he could start fresh. He'll have to deal with he could be dealing with companions that never met him before in this universe. Or maybe they're not even around. So that would be a thing for the 50th anniversary. I think it would be a surprise that he'll be going to a whole new universe. Because what else could they do? Transform him into a woman? I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think everybody's ready for that yet. So, and he's not going to die, and they're not going to give out his name. I mean, that would be stupid too. So I think my thing is, for the 50th anniversary surprise, is that he's going to be going to other universes, flat out. And with the Amy and Rory thing, we heard that Rory's going to die of old age. Okay, but guess what? He's been around for thousands of years. So they need to explain that too. I think that Rory's going to raise River, and bring her to meet up with young Amelia and young Rory, and grow up with them. And as far as Amy goes, it's quite possible that Amy ends up in the 11th hour. She touches Amelia, and that creates the cracks in the first place. And basically, it would be like an explosion, like when the two Brigadiers touched, or when the two sonic screwdrivers touched, but only they touched for too long, where it created the cracks in the universe. I think that's what's highly possible. And then he could be traveling back to pick her up. Who knows? But something's definitely going to happen. And they said that it's a great ending. So I mean, they said it's a heartbreaker. I don't know what he's going to do, Stephen Moffat. To tell you the truth, I'm just speculating, but um, it just gets all tied to the 11th hour. It's all tied to the 11th hour. So, all right. So that's this is my big video, but this is not the massive video. I'm going to be doing a few videos that I'm going to be doing, probably charting River Song and different things. All right. So, thanks a lot for hearing me rant, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.